Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video with numbers. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope everything is going great. Um, yeah, today we're going to be talking about gear and gear sets, bonuses, everything you need to do in order to get your champions meeting stat requirements, right? So I think let's just head straight into it. Obviously into your champ box and storage, artifact storage. This is where the magic happens, people. This is where accounts reach the make or break stage, shall I say. If your account fails at this, at gearing a champion up, you could have the most busted champions ever and still not be good at the game purely because of this. You know, a lack of gearing equals a lack of account progress. So very important to pay attention to these kind of things. Right, without further ado, let's head straight into it. Let's talk about gear sets and really what you want to look for going into mid game, late game, maybe a little bit of early game, but early game is it's obviously not too bothered with sets. Before that, actually, let's just talk a little bit about stats. So your stats obviously come from artifacts, affinity bonuses, etc., blessings. So artifacts are going to be the biggest contributors, and that is from your gear. So you're going to want to have good artifacts to be able to reach all of the stat requirements that you need, right? So whether it be accuracy, resistance, speed, those kind of things, make sure you have some of the best artifacts, right? In terms of gear, you in the early game, I would say 4-star and 5-star is your best bet. Try and catch a lot of those because that's going to get you moving and progressing faster, right? Um, I would keep a few blues, but try to obviously focus more on getting epics and where you can legendary pieces because those kind of things will just give you more stats to work with when you're doing your upgrades. All right, very important. Some people don't obviously or may not realize this, but let's go. Sure, obviously after a while you do, but a blue piece like this only gets 2 bonus upgrades, right? Whereas once you move on to purple, you start to get 3 bonus upgrades. Gold and mythical get 4. Mythical gets a bonus upgrade on its red stat. So that's some important things to remember. If you have a red mythical piece, you stand a chance to get bonus stats on that red. So the red is already a +1, and then as you upgrade it every 4 levels, you get an extra bonus to that stat. So having mythical pieces is good, right? Obviously, but some mythical pieces can be trash pieces. All right, not all mythical pieces are good. Something like this is borderline trash piece, and I'll tell you why. You got an attack percent gauntlet, cool, but a red a red HP percent stat. So attack percent and HP percentage are contradictory because you're either an attack based nuker or you're an HP based nuker. You're not both, right? So this is a very tricky piece to use. Every triple rolls, there's a chance of re-rolling, getting better stats, etc. But 9 times out of 10 on a mythical piece, you probably wouldn't want to keep it because re-rolling is just too expensive. Come from a free-to-play perspective. You don't get tons of these, especially a 6-star Chaos Ore that is mythical. You don't get a lot. I got my first 2 recently from a Deck of Fate, and they are tough to pick up. They really are tough to pick up. So that's the first thing you need to look out for in gear. When you're in the mid game, push for legendary 5 and 6-star pieces only, right? Maybe some mythicals, epics here and there, right? I've obviously got some blues, which I'm going to sell off soon when I do a gear cleanse, but I don't recommend keeping blues when you head into late game, mid game, end game, you are not keeping blues at all. You're keeping the occasional epic. Most of all, you have legendary and mythical pieces covering 90% of the champions, right? Late game, you should be farming for one, stage 10 hard mode on all dungeons in the late game, which means you're going to be getting a lot more mythical pieces and a lot more red pieces. I mean, a lot more legendary pieces. So epics and rare pieces should be very few and far in between on your account, if even. All right. So that's the basis on the kind of pieces you should be looking to keep given your account stage. Then we head into looking at what kind of artifacts should you be keeping, right? Early game, everything. I know it sounds a little bit cliche, a little bit, but early game, you're keeping every single artifact, no matter the set, because you're looking for stats. You're not looking for set bonuses, you're looking purely for stats. You might be able to use Feral quite often because that's you get from Siege. If you're in a good clan, you know, you're going to farm up quite a bit of this as you guys win Siege battles. But for the most part, early game, mid game, you're probably keeping almost every set, every piece you get, regardless of set, because you're not going to be using set bonuses as often. When you start getting to late game, end game, you start thinking, I mean, end like closing in from mid game to late game, and late game all the way into end game is where you start focusing on things like sets and set bonuses and what kind of sets you want to keep around. So there's obviously the life set, I think it is, and the attack set. Once you hit mid and late game, those two sets become obsolete. The bonus you get from it is not worth actually using that piece on anyone, really. So those two are easily quick sold, given away, never to be used, right? You farm those up from campaign most of the time. But yeah, that is not going to be used at all. When you come into the rest of it, speed is going to be your biggest set. You are going to keep a lot of speed gear. You're going to be farming up a lot of speed gear. Every time Dragon goes onto a 2x or 3x for speed gear, you are going to be farming that as much as possible because speed gear carries you all the way well into end game content, right? Because it's just a plus 12% speed, but the current state of the game requires you to always have enough speed, right? And the more speed your champions have, kind of the better they can deal with situations, especially PvP kind of situations. So speed gear is going to be very important. So keeping good speed gear on your account is of vital importance. Crit rate and crit damage start falling out well into mid game because you're then starting to find that, you know, you're packing onto a damage dealing champion, you're getting gloves that have crit rate or your crit damage. So having there we go, the crit damage. So having crit rate and crit damage sets is not really as important as just having a glove or a good glove with a crit rate or crit damage main stat. So these two kind of fall away. As you can see, I don't actually have many of them. I don't keep them because I just don't find them as useful as they used to be in the early game. Okay. Accuracy, same thing. Really start to fall away as you get chess pieces with accuracy. Different champ. Let's go here. See, okay. I need a champion that's got an accuracy chess piece on. There we go. So you start to get champs with accuracy chess pieces, they triple roll speed or whatever the case may be. And that is just a better piece than having a accuracy set on. Because accuracy sets in 40 accuracy. It's a 6-star epic zeal chess piece. And it's a 96 bonus accuracy. Pair that with your 6-star banner, that's another 96. So as you can see, while you roll accuracy on the ascendancy as well, you get 29. So accuracy can be brought up really well just by having a good chess piece or banner with accuracy on. Okay, so accuracy as a set starts to fall off very quickly. Lifesteal, again, very good early game, very good early mid game for clan boss, for campaign farmers, just to obviously keep your champs alive when they're going through whatever they're doing, especially your damage dealers. Damage dealers tend to fall off quite quickly, so keeping a decent lifesteal set around is always handy. I do have a few pieces myself, not really for any specific reason. Obviously, something like this, a good crit damage gauntlet with accuracy, crit rate, stack percent. This could be used on a faction wars champ, something like that. So just keep them as spare gear pieces for any faction wars content that might be useful. Same thing with accuracy, crit damage, and crit rate. Days is going to be a very good set to keep at least 1 or 2 sets of to be used in faction wars, right? You just want one full set, so a 4-piece full set of days that's really good solely to be used in faction wars, because putting sleep on let's say Valkyries going into faction wars is really useful in order to help you bypass their buffs, right? So it makes it just easier to get through that without triggering them. So Days is a good set to keep and have your hands on. It's going to become really important going into the late stages of faction wars. So early mid game accounts, don't sell off Days too quickly. Make sure to keep a few because it does become really important. Per set, very. I think this is a set that in the early and mid game you're gonna ignore because you're not gonna be using Hex as often, right? But when you start hitting late mid game and late game, right, you are going to be using a ton of this for Hydra if you don't have any other Hex champions. So you get one free Hex champion, which is Mithrala, amazing, but you get 3 Hydra keys. You can only use her once. You need somebody who's going to be placing Hex for you. And that somebody has to have a Hex set on. So keeping 1 or 2 good Hex sets available is always really handy. So this set, I think, is very important to make sure that you farm and you farm up right. You get some very good sets on it. There's rarely, if ever, a 2x on Hex, but when there is, if there ever is, make sure to look and farm to get these pieces because it's really important going into mid and end game Hydra to have this ready. Frost, not too much to say about this. Not really too useful of a piece. I'm personally not in faction wars hard, so I don't know if there's trials for you to place freeze debuffs often. But this is a set that I don't necessarily keep tons of pieces of. I mean, some of these are rolled up from who knows how long ago, but they did roll well. It's a 3 triple accuracy speed boot. So they did roll pretty well, which is why I've kept some of them. But for the most part, it's obviously not a set that I'm looking to keep a ton of gear pieces for because I just don't use it as often. Regen. A set of penultimate importance in any Raid Shadow Legends account. Okay. This set, I don't, not much I can say about it other than if you are looking to get your account to end game status, you are going to need a regen set, multiple regen sets probably, and very good regen pieces for that set. This set is going to carry into solo farming a lot of dungeon content. Right now, I'm trying to obviously build a good solo farm Dragon team with Theodore, just got my hands on. He needs a very good regen set that's going to give him tons of accuracy and tons of resistance. So I'll show you one that I have right now. This is the test I had running for him. Nope, this one. Regen. There we go. So it's not an insanely good set. That's the thing. It's 230 speed, 61k HP, 2.8 defense, but he does require a lot of resistance and accuracy going into hard mode stage 10 of Dragon. This does not work. So do not copy these stats. This does not work for farming hard mode stage 10. He just doesn't have the survivability for it. You do need to get him close to 300 speed to be able to solo farm hard mode stage 10 Dragon. So that is something I'll be working on. And again, all it comes down to is, do you have good enough regen pieces, right? So make sure whenever there's a 2x on regen, farm up as much as possible. I think it's Fire Knight, right? Pretty sure it's the Fire Knight dungeon. Just double check. Yeah, it's the Fire Knight dungeon. So whenever there's a 2x on regen, make sure to farm up Fire Knight. It's going to be very, very important. Immunity, it's another set that's pretty good. I don't keep many immunity pieces, if any. They don't really farm up as often either. They don't pop up as often when I'm doing farming, but it could be very useful for some nukers getting into end game PvP content. It's one of those sets that can be overlooked because you could put your nukers in things like Stone Skin. Your nukers may need to be built in Savage or Merciless or Lethal or whatever the case may be. So immunity is good, but it's not as high up on the list as all the other sets for damage dealing and protection. So I would give it, let's say, a B rating. This is going S, A, B, C, Allah. So S tier. This does not fall in S tier. It's more of a B tier. Whereas regen, I would say, falls into A tier, maybe S tier because of its usefulness all the way into endgame. Relentless set. This is an A tier piece. Definitely needed. Can only get these pieces from tournament and tournament wins, coming like first place, second place, third place. So yeah, if you want some relentless pieces, you have to grind the tournaments. This set is extremely, extremely useful going into very specific content, such as Hydra or Chimera or maybe even Clan Boss, to be able to give yourself extra turns, right? Why is that important? Well, for starters, someone like a Chrysia on my account, she's in a relentless set. I want her to take as many turns as possible because all her hits, A1, A2, A3, all scale up based on enemy max HP against bosses. So the more times she can take turns and get hits in, the more damage she can do. So you want to give her as much chances as possible to hit more times than, well, more than she normally would. So very good set to farm up. Maybe S tier set right here. Difficult to get your hands on, but if you can, try to finish in the top 3 of tournaments as often as possible. Savage. This is probably one of the most important sets in the mid to late game. You're going to want to keep tons of Savage pieces on your account. Tons of good Savage pieces as well, because of the bonus it gives. Ignores 25% of enemy defense. Set is going to be crucial going into end game because of, not end game, into mid game, late game, sometimes end game as well, because of this enemy ignore defense effect. So make sure to keep at least a few, maybe I'd say enough for 3 or 4 sets, given that you'll probably be needing 3 or 4 big damage dealers going into things like Siege, Arena, dungeons, this is very good. Going into end game content, ignoring defense is insanely good. Okay. Destroys it, at least keep one or two. This is for Scarab King farming only. Realistically, you're not using this anywhere else except to farm Scarab King. Could possibly use it against Amius, but for the most part, this is going to be used to deal with Scarab King. It's going to be the surefire way to make sure you defeat the Scarab King without any issues. All right, you're gonna, because to be honest, not a lot of people are gonna have enemy max HP destroying champs, and for Scarab King, you have to destroy his max HP before you can really do anything. So farming up this set, keeping one or two sets for him is really good. For those of you who don't know, using Mikey, I don't know if I have one set up, I don't, but using Mikey in a destroy set makes Scarab King really easy because of his passive. So I think I actually did that. Let's have a look here in Curse City. So Curse City hard. Yeah. There you go. Mikey destroys it. Solo farm, hard mode, Scarab King. Easy as you like. No problems there. So yeah, make sure to keep a good destroy set ready in order for that Scarab King to be easily farmed. It works all the way in Doom Tower as well. So yeah. Stun set, another one that's really great for faction wars. I would say stun over days in the grand scheme of things, because stun is a lot better. Days you can obviously wake up from. So keeping a really good 2 or 3 stun sets, maybe just 2 good stun sets will be of vital importance in your account because of its usage in faction wars. So really, really good set. Make sure you keep one that's able to have a champ going decently fast so you can do his AoEs as often as possible. Someone like Bellower, who's just got an A1 AoE, benefits a lot from having a stun set on and going pretty fast because you're going to be stunning champs more often than not. All right, toxic set. This set does not get used as often, and I don't think it will, other than in Faction Wars hard mode, where you might need to place poison debuffs. Right? Other than that, there's no other real use unless you need someone to solo farm a dungeon and they need to put out poisons or something. Then can be quite useful, but I think for the most part, most people will have a champion or two that is able to solo farm without a toxic set. Given that you will also need to have a good regen set or immortal pieces just to solo farm content. Provoke set, again, faction wars, incredibly useful. Hydra, incredibly useful to place provokes on the head of decay. So keeping a good 1 or 2 sets of provoke may be useful going into that kind of content. It's definitely going to help you make sure that you cover all your bases going into Hydra if you are lacking a good provoker. Retaliation. This set's not really that important. To 2P sets, it can be useful, but a 15% chance of counter attack is low. And it's not really used as often because there's so many better things you could be putting on your champions for 2P sets other than retaliation. So I'd give this a C tier, maybe even D if we're going that low. It's not useful at all. Stalwart, I think this is a good set. I think it's only available from Forge Pass, unfortunately, though, but I think it's a good set. Let me just confirm my suspicions. Dungeons. Fire Knight, nope. Ice Golem, nope. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah, that is a set that you farm. No, it's not. I am quite off the mark with that. Sorry. It is a set you get from Dragon. Yeah. So Stalwart's a pretty good set to have to keep maybe one or two of. In the early game and mid game, it's definitely helped keep your champions alive, especially going into things like Clan Boss. So really a good set to keep a few pieces of, but once you start reaching late game, end game, it starts to fall away because you got champs that are built out well enough to not need this kind of a set, and you've got champs that do enough protection that you may not need to use this set. Reflex, it's a really good set. Chance to reduce skill cooldown, always amazing. It's a 4-piece set, which is the only problem with it. It just means that you're not going to be able to put any other really good 4-piece set on, or 4-piece sets on your champ. So this is more useful for support type champions rather than damage dealers because it's a 4-piece set, right? Curing, yeah, it's a set that I think can be used, right? It's not a terrible set, but there are better sets to use other than this. All it does is give you bonus healing and heals that restore destroyed HP, which is cool. Going into, again, Hydra maybe, but it's not that major that it has to be a 100% need to farm kind of set. So we definitely can put this into a category that's maybe C or B tier and say that you don't need to farm this, but if you do have a set of it, keep it. It might come in handy one day. Cruel, you get this from Demon Lord every day. Yeah, keeping some good cruel pieces would be useful. Gives you a small ignore defense, but it's an ignore defense nonetheless. Again, very handy in the early mid game. Late game starts to kind of fall out because you obviously have better ignore defense sets, but this can still be a really useful set in the early game. Immortal, this is a really good set, a really, really good set when you pair it up alongside your regen, because it's giving you extra HP. It's giving it it's a small heal, but paired up with regen, the heal becomes quite significant to the point where it's really going to help you build out those tanky champions that just don't want to die going into certain content. So definitely keep all the good pieces that you can come from regen. Once you're farming Ultra Nightmare, Nightmare Clan Boss, you're going to get some good pieces, a lot of legendary pieces. So yeah, they're going to be really important to keep your hands on those. The Divine sets, not much to say about them. They really just give you a shield plus whatever stat it is. So Divine Speed is speed, crit rate, offense is attack. I don't necessarily keep any of these. I don't find them useful. I don't think they will be useful to me at any point in the game because it's a self shield, right? So once yeah, there's better sets that give ally shields. So this self shield is not as important. The Divine Speed may be the most useful one because it's pretty much a speed set with a self shield. So that could be, but also you only earn it once a week from your classic arena chest. So chances are you're not going to have really good pieces for it. And if you do, it's not going to be as good as just the normal speed piece or feral piece, whatever the case may be. Swift parry. I've seen a lot of accounts using this recently. It's a weird set that in PvP can be useful on certain champions. Seen people use it on AoE damage dealers that can one-shot you because it has a chance to give you an unkillable, right? The problem with that is if they put block buffs on your champion, this will not trigger. So, if you're using it purely to meet stats with speed and crit damage, cool. But I wouldn't recommend using it just for this unkillable piece right here. It is a 4-piece set, does have to be crafted at the forge, so you can be the one who decides whether this is better than crafting up anything else, such as resilience or perception. I would say these two are really good. Resilience going into the early mid game gives you HP and defense, so reaching higher tank stats for certain champions. This could be a really, really solid set. Perception, early game, mid game, late game, maybe even end game. Really, really good set to have. It's a 2-piece that gives you accuracy and speed. If you compare this to something like a speed set, you're sacrificing that little bit of speed for some accuracy, which on someone like a nuker or a debuffer is very much worth it in order to meet those accuracy stats. If you look at some of my champions, like Mikey over here, he's got a perception set on, and it really helps him to reach the stats needed. Same with Lammasu for placing those debuffs. Okay. Affinity Breaker, Untouchable, Fatal, Frostbite, Guardian. These are all farmed up from Doom Tower bosses. Affinity Breaker is probably very useful to some people because it has a chance to change any weak hits into critical hits, and it gives you extra crit damage. So this could be really useful on some arena champions. You don't see it as often because there's ways to just kind of go around that, picking the right champions or getting void champions, etc. Obviously. So it's a good set, but not often used. Untouchable is just an immunity set with resistance. Useful, yes. Used often, no. Fatal, again, not really insane. It's an attack set with a crit rate. It's useful. It's definitely useful. But I feel like once you reach that mid-late game, you're not using a fatal or fatal pieces as often as you may think. Frostbite, I don't think this is a set that necessarily you will have to farm up. Chance to block freeze, chance to place freeze. That's not really very useful. The chance to block freeze may be useful going to like the Frost Spider, but again, it's not as useful as you might think it is. Guardian, I think this is a very good set, right? It's a very good set going into certain boss battles. It acts as a mini ally protection, so your wearer absorbs 10% of all damage dealt to ally champions and then gets a heal by 10% every turn. So it's kind of like having a regen that also does damage absorption, which is really solid, right? So you could kind of work your way around regen with having Guardian, but then it starts to get a little bit tricky, Still really good set to have. I do use it on my Donny going into my clan boss team. The Guardian does help to supplement the team and keep them going longer. Lethal, this is a really, really solid set. Crit rate with ignore enemy defense, right? So this you farm up from Dark Fate and Doom Tower. You're gonna need it. Whenever Doom Tower Dark Fate rotation comes around, farm up the highest level possible all the time because this set is really, really important. It's going to give you some really good bonuses for your nukers. Ignoring 25% of enemy defense, like I said before, is major, and it's a really good game changer for certain mid, late, and end game accounts. Okay, protection and stone skin. These you get from farming up in Hydra. Yeah, I would say if you can, keep as many as possible. You're gonna have 9-piece protection champs you're gonna have 9-piece Stone Skin champs in your life, or maybe just 6-piece. But yeah, keep as many as you can. I've gone with Rala in 6 pieces of protection right now. I do want to get her in a 9-piece, but I'm missing accessories. I'm missing accessories for the 9-piece protection. As you can see, I don't have a necklace. So protection, very, very useful. It's going to give you bonus damage going into boss fights. So it's going to be a really useful set to keep your hands on. Killstroke, it's a good set. It's not, you're not going to get much of it. It's not going to be easy to get your hands on. But crit damage and speed, always useful. This is a good set for nukers who don't need any accuracy and just need crit damage and speed stats. So this is going to be really helpful for nukers that are just straight up damage dealers. Instinct, same thing. Speed, ignore defense. It's a forge set, so you're not going to get, if you're free to play like myself, you're not going to get tons of it, so don't bank on it. But if you do buy the forge pass, this is a good one to invest in. The ignore enemy defense and speed on nukers is amazing. Also set, another forge pass set. This gives you some big protected shield and heal every turn. So this can replace your shield set, and it's tricky because again, it's a forge pass piece or forge pass set, so you're not going to get it as often if you're not buying the forge pass. Same with Defiant. So these 3 are good, but if you're not a spender and buying the forge pass, you're not going to get any of these. Right? Impulse and Zeal, you have to play live arena to earn these. Impulse is really good. Speed with a 12% chance to reduce cooldown. It's low chance, but it does proc, and when it does proc in longer fights, it's really useful. Zeal, crit damage plus extra damage for every 25 HP, 25% HP that the champion has. So at the start of the battle, 100% HP, you're going to be dealing a little bit of extra damage. So it's a very useful set. I use it on my ninja, I think. Yeah, I've actually got 2 on him, but doesn't really matter. I think only 1 will work anyway. But yeah, Zeal is a really good set, gives him extra crit damage. So yeah, Righteous set, another one from Forge Pass, Speed and Resistance, which is really good. But if you're not buying it, you're not getting it. Supersonic and Merciless, these 2 are from Curse City. These 2 are important. Merciless has skill cooldown reduction, ignore defense, and extra turns, all the way up to 9 pieces. So insanely useful on specific extra turn champions. Supersonic, give me a speed booster, put Supersonic on them, and it will help them cut in and take turns. So as you can see, fills the turn meter per each buff on each enemy. Great. Decrease turn meter effects are less effective. Great. Increase any full turn meter effects cost by 30% for 9-piece. Put a 9-piece on your Arbiter, on your Armons, on Fabian, and they will be great. Even if it's just a 4-piece, getting the chance to take or cut in and take a turn with someone like Armons or Fabian could really change the way the game is going to unfold. Slayer Forge Pass set, really good for champs that have AoE hits on all their skills, because you get ignore defense and turn meter full on all the AoE skills. So yeah, Slayer is more for big AoE damage dealers. Feral, like we said earlier, earned from Siege. This is a really great set for accuracy and speed. So you can use like 2 or 3 pieces on nukers. You could use 4 pieces on support champs who want block debuffs. You could use 6 pieces on champs for arena to prevent polymorph. 9 pieces for more damage. So yeah, it's a really good set for certain support type champions and damage dealers. Pinpoint farmed from the event dungeon or previous event dungeon. Really solid set if you can get. It places intercept stacks which stop crowd control debuffs. It's got accuracy and speed as well. The intercept stacks when they came out are insane. It stops your sheep, it stops your fears. So countering someone like Fabian, this is a great set to stop the fears. But obviously the cooldown increasing is a whole different story. Stone Cleaver, another set earned from Live Arena. It's a new set, so not a lot of people use it, I don't think, but it does bring ignore defense on a 6-piece and increase damage, although be it to stone skin only. So 9-piece is going to be 100% more damage to stone skin. In the grand scheme of things, may be useful, but at the same time, in the grand scheme of things, a full 9-piece is not easy to come by, given how much Live Arena you would have to farm. Rebirth, another new set, came out along with Stone Cleaver. Great set to have if you can farm up Live Arena again. It's more for revivers, giving boost to the champions they revive and themselves. So 4-piece is extra HP and turn meter for revived allies. 6-piece block damage on themselves whenever an ally is killed. 9-piece is decreasing the cooldown of a revived ally's skills. Gives resistance and speed as bonuses in between. So it's definitely a great set for revivers. Think of someone like Ancora in a 6-piece would be great. Ancora doesn't need the 9-piece because she already resets all your skills going into the revive. But a 6-piece on Ancora would be really strong. Something like that. All right. Chronophage, new set as well from the event dungeon. If you hadn't farmed it up before, you can't farm it up now. The event dungeon's closed, unfortunately, but it's a really, it was a bad set when they first released it. They tweaked it, and now it's a really good set. Gives resistance and speed in between, and it gives you an immutable stack, which stops or blocks an attempt at skill cooldown increases. So, you know, a 4 or 6-piece on here, again, could be the difference between you losing a fight to a Fabian and winning a fight to a Fabian. All right. So, right. So those are the gear sets, right? The main gear sets you need to focus on. There's also accessories such as blood shield accessories, reaction accessories, revenge accessories, all these cool ones that you get from the different shops around in Raid. Not shops, but markets and stuff. There we go. So if you go to like the bazaar, there's a refresh or cleansing accessory in here. If you go to clan shop, okay, it's not here today. Let's just see. Okay, there's an accessory here. Can't remember what that is. And there's that one was at slot 5. Here we go. There's a revenge accessory in the clan shop. So those are just a few places where you can get those special accessories. And then you get some of them from CVC, which I think are the reaction ones. So yeah, few good pieces. Reaction accessories are good because they turn, just find one. Slayer, Revenge, Feral. Essentially, they take the critical hits, it's cleansing, revenge, reaction, here we go. They change critical hits into normal hits when attacked before the first turn. So if you lose a speed race, this could potentially save your champ from being one shot, right? So really strong piece, and it's just, you know, one ring that you put on them, and it could make or break the make or break your team getting into PvP content. So yeah, guys, that's going to be it for the video today. I hope this was very helpful and informational to most of you guys around there. Make sure you obviously look at the state of where your account is. Is it mid game? Is it early game? Is it late game? Is it end game? And that will help you decide what you need to do with your artifacts. Are you keeping rare artifacts? If you can tell that your account doesn't use rare artifacts as often, then there's no need to be keeping them. You know, if your account is using epics, legendaries, and mythicals 9 times out of 10, then that's what you should be looking to keep and farm up, those kind of things. So, again, look at your account state, decide where it is, and go from there. That's going to be it for us today, guys, regarding gear and artifacts and what to look out for. Obviously, we didn't touch on everything today. There could be so much more, such as ascensions that we haven't covered. So yeah, I think we'll cover those in a different video because there's a lot to look at when gearing our champions. So for now, we'll cap this here. This is just a gear video, an artifact video, looking at what artifacts to keep, what artifacts to drop, and what sets are important, and at what stage of the game those sets are important. So that's going to be it. Thank you for listening, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.